Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the USS Liberty, watching the stars through the massive view screen. The year was 2387, and humanity had been traveling between worlds for 300 years. Jake had seen many strange things in space, but today felt different. Something was coming. The Liberty was not just any ship. It was the newest and strongest warship that humans had ever built. From the outside, it looked like a simple metal box floating in space. No fancy decorations or bright colors, just gray steel and practical design. But inside it carried weapons and technology that even Jake did not fully understand. "Captain, we have the convoy in sight," said Navigator Amy Carter from her station. She was young but very good at her job. 12 cargo ships carrying supplies to the new colony on Kepler 7. Jake nodded. The Liberty's job was simple: protect the cargo ships as they traveled through unexplored space. The route would save them 2 weeks of travel time, but no human ship had ever gone this way before. That always meant danger. "Keep us between the convoy and any threats," Jake ordered. "And Amy, run full scans of the area. I want to know about anything bigger than a space rock." Chief Engineer Pete Collins looked up from his control panel. Pete was an older man with gray hair and hands that were always covered in engine oil. He had built half the machines on the Liberty himself. "Captain, all systems are running perfect. The new quantum drives are working better than we hoped." Jake smiled. Pete always worried about his engines like they were his children. "Good work. Pete, how are the new weapon systems?" "Still learning about those myself," Pete admitted. "The scientists who built them said they work in ways that bend space itself. I just make sure they get enough power." Commander Lisa Blake, the ship's weapons officer, turned from her station. Lisa was tough and smart, the kind of person you wanted beside you in a fight. "Captain, I'm picking up something strange on long-range sensors." "What kind of strange?" Jake asked, walking over to look at her screen. 20 ships, maybe more. They just appeared out of nowhere about 10 million miles away. Their design is nothing like anything in our databases. Jake felt his stomach tighten. First contact with a new alien race was always dangerous. Some species were friendly and wanted to trade. Others saw humans as enemies or food. "Are they heading toward us?" "Yes, sir. At their current speed, they will reach us in 30 minutes. Jake pressed a button on his chair. "All hands, this is the captain. We have unknown ships approaching. This is not a drill. All crew to battle stations." Red lights began flashing throughout the ship. The sound of running feet echoed through the corridors as 800 crew members rushed to their positions. Marines grabbed their weapons, engineers checked their systems, medical teams prepared for wounded. "Amy, send a message to the convoy. Tell them to change course and head back the way we came. Full speed." "Already done, Captain. They are turning around now." The alien ships grew larger on the view screen. They were beautiful in a way that made Jake uncomfortable. Each ship looked like it was made of gold and crystal. Strange symbols covered their hulls, glowing with soft blue light. They moved through space like dancers, smooth and graceful. "Incoming transmission," reported Communications Officer Danny Wright. Danny was new to the crew but had good ears for alien languages. "Put it on screen." The view screen changed to show an alien face that made several crew members step back in shock. The creature looked almost human but wrong in every way. Its skin was pale blue and seemed to glow from within. Its eyes were too large and completely black. When it smiled, it showed teeth that were too sharp and too white. "Greetings, primitive creatures," the alien said in perfect English. Its voice sounded like music, but cold music that made people feel afraid. "I am Supreme Overlord Vexithera of the Zephyrian Empire. You have entered space that belongs to the gods." Jake stepped forward. "This is Captain Jake Morrison of the human ship, Liberty. We are peaceful travelers passing through this area. We mean no harm to you or your people." The alien laughed, and the sound made everyone on the bridge feel sick. "Harm to us? You misunderstand your position, little mammal. We are not people. We are gods. We have ruled this part of space for 10,000 of your years. Every species that lives here worships us and serves us." We are not looking for trouble, Jake said, keeping his voice calm. We will leave your space immediately. 2. Late for that, Vexithera replied. You have seen us now. You know we exist. That means you must choose. Kneel before us and accept that we are your gods, or die like the other races that were too proud to submit. Lisa whispered to Jake, Captain, I count 23 ships. Each one is about the same size as us, but their weapons are charged and ready. Jake looked at the alien on the screen. He had dealt with many hostile species before, but never ones that claimed to be gods. What happens if we refuse both choices? Vexithara's smile grew wider and more terrible. Then we will show you why we are called gods. The screen went black. A moment later, one of the human cargo ships exploded in a ball of white fire. 300 innocent people died in less than a second. The other cargo ships were too far away to help. They just murdered 300 civilians, Lisa said, her voice shaking with anger. Jake felt something cold and hard settle in his chest. He had seen alien cruelty before, but this was different. These creatures killed for pleasure to prove a point. They called themselves gods, but they acted like demons. Amy, how long until the convoy is safe? 20 minutes at full speed, Captain. Jake looked around his bridge at the faces of his crew. They were afraid, but they were also angry. Good. Angry humans were dangerous humans. Pete, how are those new weapon systems? Ready when you are, Captain. Lisa, target their lead ship. Sir, we are outnumbered 23-1. Jake smiled, and it was not a nice smile. Then it's a fair fight. The bridge of the USS Liberty was quiet except for the soft beeping of machines. Captain Jake Morrison stood with his hands behind his back, staring at the wreckage of the destroyed cargo ship floating in space. 300 people had been alive just minutes ago. Now they were nothing but glowing metal and scattered atoms. Emergency meeting in conference room 1, Jake said without taking his eyes off the view screen. Senior staff only. Amy, you have the bridge. Navigator Amy Carter nodded and sat down in the captain's chair. She was nervous but tried not to show it. 23 alien ships were moving toward them like hungry sharks. Jake walked quickly through the corridors of his ship. Crew members he passed looked scared but determined. They all knew what had happened. Word traveled fast on a ship, especially bad news. The Liberty had the best crew in the human fleet, and they would not let the murder of innocent people go unpunished. The conference room was small and simple. A metal table surrounded by chairs with a large screen on one wall. Chief Engineer Pete Collins was already there, his face red with anger. Commander Lisa Blake sat across from him, checking numbers on her tablet. Marine Colonel Tony Rodriguez entered last, still wearing his combat armor. Gentlemen, Lisa, Jake began as he sat down. We have a problem. 23 alien ships that think they are gods just killed 300 of our people for no reason except to scare us. They succeeded in making me mad, Pete said, his voice rough. What kind of monsters kill innocent civilians just to prove a point? The kind that have never been punched in the face, Tony replied. The big Marine had scars on his hands from many battles. Captain, my boys are ready to fight. Just say the word. Jake looked around the table at his friends and officers. These were good people who had served with him for years. They trusted him to make the hard choices. The math is simple. 23 enemy ships against our 1. In a normal fight, we would lose badly. But this is not a normal fight, Lisa said with a small smile. The Liberty is not a normal ship. Pete leaned forward in his chair. Captain, I built most of the systems on this ship myself. The weapons are experimental, but they work. The shields are the newest design the scientists could make, and the engines can do things that will make those pretty alien ships look like they are standing still. Tell me about the weapons, Jake said. Pete's eyes lit up like a child talking about his favorite toy. Quantum phase cannons. They fire energy that can pass through normal shields like they are not even there. The aliens will think their defenses are working until the energy hits their hull directly. And the shields? Adaptive matrix design. They learn from each attack and get stronger. The more those aliens shoot at us, the harder we become to hurt. Tony, crossed his arms. What about boarding actions? Can my Marines get onto their ships? Phase shift technology, Pete replied. Your boys can walk through solid metal like it is air. The aliens will never see them coming. Jake felt hope growing in his chest. The Liberty was humanity's newest warship, built with technology that most people did not understand. From the outside, it looked like a simple metal box. Inside, it carried weapons that could change the way wars were fought. There is something else, Lisa said, looking at her tablet. I have been listening to their communications. These aliens have been ruling this part of space for 10,000 years. Every species they have met has either surrendered or been destroyed. They have never fought anyone who could match their technology. That makes them dangerous, Jake warned. No, sir, it makes them stupid, Lisa replied. They fight the same way every time because they have never needed to learn new tricks. I can predict their movements before they make them. Pete nodded. Captain, these aliens think they are gods because they have the best weapons in their part of space, but they have never seen human technology. We build things differently. We make them to win fights, not to look pretty. Jake stood up and walked to the window. He could see the alien ships getting closer, their golden hulls shining with reflected starlight. They moved in a perfect formation, confident and proud. They had no idea what was about to hit them. Dr. Helen Grant called me before this meeting, Jake said. She has been studying their language and culture. These aliens really believe they are gods. Not just powerful, but actually divine beings who cannot be defeated by normal creatures. What happens when gods meet something stronger than they are? Tony asked. They stop being gods, Jake replied. The intercom crackled to life. Amy's voice filled the room. Captain, the alien fleet will be in weapons range in 10 minutes. They are demanding our surrender. Jake pressed the reply button. Tell them they can have our answer in 10 minutes. He turned back to his officers. The convoy will be safe in 15 minutes. Our job is to buy them that time and teach these false gods a lesson they will never forget. Pete grinned and cracked his knuckles. Captain, the Liberty was built to fight impossible battles. This is what she was made for. Lisa, I want targeting. Solutions on their command ship and their largest vessels. Tony, get your Marines ready for boarding actions. Pete, give me everything the engines have. What about the odds? Lisa asked. 23-1 is still 23-1. Jake smiled, and his smile was cold as space itself. The odds are about to change. These aliens have spent 10,000 years fighting primitive species with old technology. Today they meet humans with new ideas and the will to use them. The meeting ended with handshakes and determined faces. As his officers left to prepare for battle, Jake remained in the room for a moment. He thought about the 300 people who had died, and about the thousands more who would die if these alien gods were allowed to continue their reign of terror. The Liberty was one ship against 23, but it was a human ship crewed by humans who refused to kneel to anyone. The aliens were about to learn why that made all the difference. Captain Jake Morrison walked back onto the bridge of the USS Liberty with steady steps. His crew looked at him with worried faces, waiting for orders. The alien ships were now close enough to see clearly on the main screen. 23 golden vessels arranged in a perfect attack formation, moving toward them like hunting wolves. Amy, status report, Jake said as he sat in his captain's chair. The convoy is 12 minutes away from safety, Navigator Amy Carter replied. The alien ships will be in firing range in 2 minutes. Pete, are all systems ready? Chief Engineer Pete Collins nodded from his station. Quantum weapons are charged and ready. Adaptive shields are online. The aliens have no idea what they are about to face. Commander Lisa Blake turned from her weapons console. Captain, I have target locks on all enemy ships. Their formation is exactly what I expected. They have not changed their tactics in thousands of years. Jake smiled. Then let us teach them something new. Open a channel to their lead ship. The main screen changed to show Supreme Overlord Vexthara again. The alien looked even more terrible than before, his black eyes filled with cruel joy. Behind him, other alien officers stood at attention like they were in a temple instead of a warship. Have you decided to kneel before your gods, little human? Vexthara asked with his cold musical voice. I have an answer for you, Jake replied, standing up slowly. We choose option 3. There is no option 3. You surrender, or you die. Jake's smile grew wider. Option 3 is we make you regret ever calling yourselves gods. The screen went black. A second later, the alien ships opened fire. Brilliant beams of energy shot across space toward the Liberty. The crew braced for impact, expecting their ship to be torn apart. But the adaptive shields caught the energy and absorbed it like a sponge soaking up water. The Liberty did not even shake. Impossible, came Vexthara's voice over the communication system. Our weapons can destroy planets. How are you still alive? Lisa, return fire. Show them what real weapons can do. The Liberty's quantum phase cannons fired for the first time in battle. The energy beams looked different from normal weapons. They seemed to bend space around them as they traveled, creating ripples in the darkness of space. The alien ships tried to raise their shields, but the quantum energy passed right through the barriers like they were made of glass. 3 Zephyrian cruisers exploded in balls of fire as the energy struck their hulls directly. What sorcery is this? Vexthara screamed over the radio. Our shields should protect us from any weapon. Not from human weapons, Jake replied calmly. Lisa, continue firing. Pete, evasive maneuvers. The Liberty began to move like a dancer. The big warship spun and twisted through space, avoiding enemy fire with impossible grace. The alien ships tried to track it, but their targeting systems could not keep up with the human ship's movements. Amy watched her navigation screens in amazement. Captain, the ship is responding faster than it should be able to. It is like the Liberty knows where the enemy will shoot before they do. That is the new AI system, Pete called out over the noise of battle. It learns from enemy patterns and predicts their next moves. The longer we fight, the better we get. More alien ships exploded as the Liberty's weapons found their targets. The perfect Zephyrian formation began to break apart as ships tried to escape the deadly quantum beams. Some aliens crashed into each other in their panic. This is not possible. Vexthara's voice cracked with fear. We are gods. We cannot be defeated by mortals. You are not gods, Jake said as he watched another enemy ship die. You are just bullies who have never met anyone stronger than you. Colonel Tony Rodriguez's voice came over the intercom. Captain, my Marines are ready for boarding action. Give us the word. Do it, Tony. Show them what humans can do up close. On the main screen, Jake could see small shapes leaving the Liberty and flying toward the alien ships. The Zephyrians tried to shoot the boarding pods, but the human Marines were using the same phase shift technology as their weapons. The enemy fire passed right through them. Seconds later, chaos erupted on the alien communication channels. Panicked voices screamed in their strange language as human Marines appeared inside their ships like ghosts walking through walls. How? Are they here? One alien captain yelled. They just walked through our hull armor like it was not there. Tony's voice came through the radio, calm and professional. Alien vessel, this is Colonel Rodriguez of the human Marines. Your ship is now under our control. Surrender and you will not be harmed. The response was alien screaming. Jake watched as more Marine teams boarded other enemy ships. The aliens had never been boarded before in their 10,000-year history. They did not know how to fight enemies who appeared inside their own vessels. Captain, Lisa reported, we have destroyed 8 enemy ships and captured 4 more. The remaining 11 are trying to retreat. Let them go, Jake ordered. But make sure they remember this day. As the surviving alien ships fled into the distance, their golden hulls no longer looking so beautiful, Jake allowed himself to relax for the first time since the battle began. Amy, status of the convoy. Safe and clear, Captain. All 12 cargo ships escaped without damage. Pete wiped sweat from his forehead. Captain, all our systems performed perfectly. We barely used 10% of our weapon capacity. Jake nodded and looked at the wreckage floating in space where proud alien warships used to be. Send a message to the fleeing ships. Tell them to inform their empire that humanity has arrived in this part of space, and tell them that the age of false gods is over. The bridge of the USS Liberty was filled with the sound of victory celebrations from the crew. Captain Jake Morrison stood quietly, watching the 11 remaining alien ships flee into the distance. Their perfect formation was gone, replaced by desperate ships running for their lives. "Captain," Communications Officer Danny Wright called out, "I am picking up transmissions from the fleeing ships. They are broadcasting on multiple frequencies to their empire." "What are they saying?" Jake asked. Danny listened to his headset for a moment, his face growing serious. "Sir, they are calling us God killers. They are telling their people that mortals have weapons that can destroy divine beings." Commander Lisa Blake looked up from her weapons console. "Captain, we are receiving new contacts on long-range sensors. More ships are coming, but these are different. They are not military vessels." Jake frowned. "Explain." "They appear to be civilian ships from various worlds in this system. Cargo vessels, passenger ships, even some that look like they might be slave transports." Chief Engineer Pete Collins wiped his hands on a dirty cloth and joined the conversation. "Captain, I am also picking up something strange on the quantum communication bands. There are signals coming from planets throughout this system. Lots of signals." Dr. Helen Grant's voice came over the intercom from the science lab. "Captain, you need to hear this. I have been monitoring alien communications since the battle ended. The news of our victory is spreading faster than their ships can travel." "Put her on screen," Jake ordered. Dr. Grant appeared on the main screen. She was a small woman with gray hair and intelligent eyes. Behind her, computer screens showed charts and alien writing. "Captain, the Zephyrian Empire is in chaos. Subject worlds are declaring independence. Slave species are revolting. Their military is being called back to defend their homeworlds." "All because of one battle?" Jake asked. "Not just any battle. For 10,000 years, the Zephyrians have ruled through fear. They convinced everyone that they were gods who could not be defeated. Today we proved that wrong. Every species in their empire saw their gods run away from a single human ship." Navigator Amy Carter looked worried. "Captain, if their empire is collapsing, there might be chaos throughout this entire region of space. Millions of innocent people could be hurt." Jake felt the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders. He had wanted to protect the convoy and teach the aliens a lesson. He had not expected to start a galactic revolution. "Danny, are you still getting transmissions from the fleeing ships?" "Yes, sir. Supreme Overlord Vexithera is trying to contact his homeworld, but he is having trouble. It sounds like there are problems there too." "Put him on screen." The main viewer showed Vexithara again, but he looked very different now. His glowing blue skin had turned pale, and his black eyes showed fear instead of arrogance. The bridge of his ship was damaged, with sparks flying from broken equipment. "Human captain," Vexithara said, his musical voice now shaking. "You have destroyed everything. Our empire is falling apart. Worlds that have served us for thousands of years are turning against us." "Good," Jake replied simply. "Maybe now those worlds can be free." "You do not understand," the alien continued desperately. "We brought order to this region of space. Without us, there will be war between species. Chaos. Suffering." "There was already suffering," Jake said, his voice hard. "You caused it by making yourselves into false gods and forcing others to worship you." Vexithara was quiet for a moment. When he spoke again, his voice was different, smaller. "What are you? Your weapons are beyond anything we have seen. Your ship moves like it is alive. Your warriors appear from nothing. Are you the true gods?" Jake felt a chill run down his spine. "We are not gods. We are humans." "Then what kind of beings are humans that they can kill gods?" "The kind that refuse to kneel." Lisa interrupted the conversation. "Captain, I am detecting a massive energy buildup from the alien flagship. It looks like they are charging some kind of super weapon." Pete checked his instruments. "That energy reading is off the charts. If they fire that thing, it could destroy everything in this area, including us. They are going to kill themselves just to take us with them." Tony Rodriguez's voice came over the intercom. "My boarding teams report that the aliens on the captured ships are in complete panic. Some are calling us demons. Others think we are angels of death." Jake made a decision that would change the course of galactic history. "Lisa, Charge the main weapon, full power. Sir, at full power, the quantum cannon will create a small black hole. The target ship will be completely destroyed. Do it. The Liberty's main weapon began to charge with energy that made space itself bend and twist around. The ship. The quantum field generators hummed with power that hurt to listen to. On the main screen, reality seemed to ripple like water. Vexithara, Jake said, his voice carrying across space to the alien commander. You wanted to show us why you are called gods. Now let me show you why we are called humans. The alien's eyes grew wide with terror. Wait, please. We can negotiate. We can share our empire with you. You can be gods alongside us. We do not want to be gods, Jake replied. We want you to stop pretending that you are. The Liberty fired its ultimate weapon. The quantum energy beam crossed the distance between ships in an instant. But instead of simply destroying Vexithara's flagship, something amazing happened. The ship began to collapse in on itself, becoming smaller and smaller until it disappeared entirely, taking 3 nearby vessels with it. Where the proud alien flagship had been, only empty space remained. The remaining Zephyrian ships stopped, trying to escape, and just floated in space. Their crews were too shocked to move. The beings they had worshipped as gods for their entire lives had just watched their supreme leader vanish from existence. This is impossible, came a weak voice from one of the surviving ships. Gods cannot die, gods cannot be destroyed. Jake's response was broadcast to every ship in the system, every world in the Zephyrian Empire, and every species that had ever bowed before false gods. Your gods are dead because they were never gods at all. They were just bullies with better weapons. Today you learned what happens when bullies meet something stronger than they are. The USS Liberty floated quietly in space, surrounded by the wreckage of what had once been the most powerful fleet in this part of the galaxy. Captain Jake Morrison stood on his bridge, looking at the empty spot where Supreme Overlord Vexithara's flagship had existed just minutes ago. The silence was broken only by the soft beeping of ship systems and the distant sound of crew members working to repair minor battle damage. Status report, Jake said, settling into his captain's chair. Navigator Amy Carter checked her instruments. All convoy ships are safe and continuing to their destination. No human casualties reported. The Liberty sustained only minor damage to outer hull plating. Chief Engineer Pete Collins looked pleased with himself. Captain, our new systems worked perfectly. The quantum weapons performed better than expected, and the adaptive shields are still learning from the enemy attacks. This ship is ready for anything. Commander Lisa Blake turned from her weapons station. Sir, the remaining 8 alien ships have stopped moving. They are not trying to escape anymore. Their crews seem to be in shock. What about the rest of their empire? Jake asked. Dr. Helen Grant's voice came over the intercom from the science lab. Captain, the communications traffic is incredible. I am monitoring transmissions from over 200 worlds in Zephyrian space. The Empire is collapsing faster than anyone thought possible. Put the details on screen, Helen. The main viewer changed to show a map of local space, with hundreds of star systems marked in different colors. Red dots showed Zephyrian military bases. Blue dots were civilian worlds, green dots were newly independent systems. As you can see, Dr. Grant continued, about 60% of their territory has already declared independence. Species that were enslaved for thousands of years are overthrowing their Zephyrian masters. The military is being called back to defend their core worlds, but they are spread too thin. Marine Colonel Tony Rodriguez entered the bridge, still wearing his combat armor. Captain, we have finished securing the captured alien ships. The crews surrendered without a fight. Most of them seem to think we are some kind of supernatural beings. What are they saying exactly? Jake asked. They keep asking if we are the new gods who have come to replace the old ones. Some want to worship us. Others are begging us not to destroy their worlds. Jake felt uncomfortable with that idea. We are not gods, Tony. Make sure they understand that. I tried, sir, but they cannot seem to accept the idea that mortals could defeat divine beings. Their whole culture is built around the belief that whoever has the most power must be a god. Communications Officer Danny Wright looked up from his station. Captain, I am receiving a transmission from one of the surviving alien ships. The commander wants to speak with you. Put him on screen. The main viewer showed an alien who looked similar to Vexithara but younger and more frightened. His blue skin was pale, and his black eyes were wide with terror. Great and powerful humans, the alien said, his voice shaking. I am Sub-Commander Crixtel of the Zephyrian Fleet. I beg you to spare our lives. We are not going to kill you, Jake replied. But we want to know something. Why did your people start calling yourselves gods? Crixtel looked confused by the question. Because we were the strongest. We had the best weapons and the fastest ships. We conquered every species we encountered. In our culture, strength means divinity. And what happened to species that refused to worship you? They were destroyed as examples to others. It was the natural order. The strong rule the weak. Jake stood up and walked closer to the screen. Let me teach you something about humans. We believe that strength should be used to protect the weak, not to rule them. We think that the measure of a person is not how many others bow before them, but how many others they help to stand up. The alien looked even more confused. But if you do not rule over others, how do you prove your strength? By choosing not to rule when we could. Dr. Grant's voice interrupted the conversation. Captain, you need to see this. I am receiving communications from the independent worlds. They are asking for our help. What kind of help? They want us to become their new protectors. Some are offering us tribute. Others want to make us their rulers. They are so used to being controlled by someone that they cannot imagine governing themselves. Jake felt the weight of an entire galaxy settling on his shoulders. The Liberty had won a single battle, but that victory had changed everything. Millions of beings were looking to humanity for guidance, and many more were probably planning revenge. Amy, set course for the Zephyrian homeworld. Sir? Amy looked surprised. If we are going to fix this mess, we need to start at the source. Lisa checked her weapons. Captain, their homeworld is probably defended by thousands of ships. Good. Then they will all get to hear what I have to say. Pete grinned from his engineering station. Captain, should I prepare the ship for another impossible battle? No, Pete. Prepare the ship for something much harder. We are going to try to talk sense into an entire civilization. Jake turned back to the alien on the screen. Sub-Commander Crixtal, I want you to send a message to your home world. Tell them that the humans are coming, not as conquerors, but as teachers. What? Will you teach us? That real strength comes not from making others fear you, but from earning their respect. That true power is not the ability to destroy, but the wisdom to choose not to. And that the greatest leaders are those who create more leaders, not more followers. The alien looked like Jake was speaking a foreign language. You will also tell them, Jake continued, that the age of gods and slaves is over. From now on, this part of space will be governed by cooperation, not conquest. Any species that wants to live in peace will be protected. Any species that chooses war will face the consequences. Jake sat back down in his captain's chair and looked around at his crew. They were no longer just the crew of a single warship. They had become the representatives of humanity to an entire galaxy. Danny, open a channel to Earth. Tell them we are going to need more ships out here. How many more ships, sir? Jake smiled as he watched more star systems on the map change, from red to green, all of them.